Hey guys, we're just gonna do a video on how we fill up our Coleman style propane 1 pound propane bottles. At the store, these run at a good price, around $5 a piece, and then you're supposed to just throw them away, I guess, or recycle them. When we fill them with this container, it's less than $1 a bottle, generally speaking, and then we get to recycle them. Couple things. It's illegal to transport these in vehicles after you refill them, for whatever reason, and it's not like what they're designed for. So do it at your own risk, I guess. That's what I'm saying. This is just one person doing something way out in the woods. So successfully over time, but let's take that for what you will. Okay, so things you'll need, of course, is an empty one of these, a full one of these, and then that's your adapter that goes in between. So it connects this tank to this tank. First thing, we'll make sure the lid is closed, because this will engage the valve, and then screw that in. The other thing, that on this particular model, sometimes I'll screw this in with my hand here, and I'll push that button and it'll shoot propane out this end somehow, even with that valve closed. Oh, it must have, I don't know what happens. I don't know what every once in a while it shoots out there, so I just keep my hand clear of this guy here. And then the propane bottle goes upside down, and that puts the liquid propane against the valve, so now it'll shoot liquid out instead of gas propane. Okay, so a couple things that happen. This has been sitting outside, so it's colder. This has been sitting inside, so it's warmer. And when that happens, it's a little harder to fill these bottles, but I'll show you. It's super easy to do it still. I'll show you. Another critical thing is that I would certainly recommend is having a scale. These are built to accept 1 pound of propane. That's 16 ounces. So what I recommend for anybody is, oh, and then some type of pokey. I have this cool old nail, but just some type of pokey. You can see there's a little piston in there, and we're just that had more gas in it than I thought. But you just depress that piston. Super important part of this process. But what I'm going to do is just empty this all the way so we can figure out how much this canister weighs empty. And you can feel it's, as I'm doing this bottle is getting way colder. Feel that.
Ooh.
Yeah. So it's relieving the pressure out of the canister, and oh, you can see it's starting to generate frost. Making it cold like that and relieving the pressure is how we force the propane back into the bottle, and I'll show you as we're continuing. So I'm going to measure this empty, and that one's must not be quite empty. This is 13.3. Anyways, measure your bottle empty, add 16 ounces to it. That's all you have to do. If you can't, that's how you figure out how full you need this to be. So we're at 13.5 right now, plus 16 would be 23, 29.5. So I'm not going to fill this, me personally, I'm not going to fill this more than 29. You do not want to overfill these, because they become, they need 80% airspace is my understanding. Again, I'm just some guy in the woods. But for the temperature fluctuation and keep these bottles safe, you do not want them full. You want to put the right amount. 16 ounces, says it right there. Okay, so we got the base weight. We know we don't want to fill this up past 29 ounces total. And so now we hook this up. Valve is off. We hook this up here. Screw it in. And then someday I want to build a table that I can reach my hand under and twist that. But for now, we just make sure that's snug, and then we just open this up, and then we listen. And you can hear it filling up. Oftentimes, this first fill, we'll have to do this a couple times with this bottle. You can actually see all the frost is melting off because it's pressurizing. It's driving more atoms or more molecules into this space, and that's putting more energy into it. So it warms up, building pressure, and what we need to do to fill this up all the way is to relieve, to get rid of some of that energy. Again, I'm just some guy in the woods. This is my very basic understanding, but it's a reasonable facsimile of what's happening. So it's done filling up. Normally about 45 seconds to a minute on that first fill. We'll close it. Have to close it. Because if I just pull this off and that's engaged, it's just going to shoot. And it will still, there's still a little bit of propane sitting in the fitting here. So when I disengage, I keep my hands clear of the threading because it will shoot out just a little bit. Yeah, sometimes more than that, sometimes less. Okay, now come take a look over here. So we're at 0. We started at about 13.5, and that'll put us, yeah, right around 22.5. So we need to do at least one more fillings. Oftentimes it's sometimes depending on how long I let them sit on the bottle, it takes 2 or 3 fillings. So, but this neutralized the energy between the containers. So what we need to do to get this one ready to accept more propane is we need, this is the way I look at it. Leave it, I mean, if you're smart, actually educated about these things, you can leave a comment in the below. But so we need to let out some energy out of this. So what I do is just I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 like 4 times. If it's really cold outside, maybe I'll do it 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 times. But oftentimes I can just do it 4 times like that. And but the colder this is, you'll find the colder is it outside, you may have to engage that depress that a few more times. So we're going to hook it back up. And today probably could have hit it a couple more times. It'll be fine. And if you can hear, much quieter this time. Maybe I should have let a little more gas out. But it is doing something. Sometimes I'll run it with a timer. Just do it for 30 seconds, 45 seconds or something. Yeah, probably should have left a little more gas out. That didn't seem right. That's okay. We can just do it again.
Do you know why?
Oh yeah, we hit 27. That's pretty good.
Do you know why it doesn't just? Why doesn't it just fill up all the way the first time?
Yeah. So because it's when it's warm inside, when you compressing it, it's warm inside.
Yeah.
And so it reaches a certain pressure. And then, I mean, this is, I can't quite hold it all in my brain, but it's a certain, when it's warm and then it hits a pressure and it just can't accept anymore. But if you cool it off, it reduces the pressure inside of the tank. And so then this can push more material in. But the more material it pushes in, the more pressure it builds. Or the more
Okay, yeah.
it drives up the temperature and then the pressure. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, so we hit 27. So we're two ounces off of being full right now. And instead of trying to drive 2 ounces in there and overfilling it, I think I'm just going to leave it at 27 ounces. And I may adjust my filling method to try to get it up there next time. So just check to see how. Maybe a little more.
Do you have to weigh each bottle? No.
When you're starting,
Yeah.
as long as they're the same type of bottle, then you don't need to. There are two different
But they're going to
types.
be different amounts of full, right? Because like I
That
pull
doesn't
them
matter.
off the stove. Okay.
So the only
Oh.
thing that matters is the end. So the only time you measure the measurement on these is important is if they're totally empty, and then that tells you how that plus 16 ounces. So it doesn't matter how much you start with in these. It's still going to stop as long as you know how much this weighs
sure.
empty.
Oh, I see.
It's kind of like a container at the store at the bulk section. It's like the container weighs what the container weighs. So essentially,
Wait, that analogy doesn't track.
it kind of does.
Because sometimes I bring in a container and it has something in it and I have to reweigh it because I.
Yeah, but the container can still only fit so much
Yeah,
in there.
okay,
Yeah, but you're right. That's fair. Bad.
This video,
not the
now
best.
we're doing some banter.
But you're right.
Yeah.
That's right. Doesn't track. So that means you understand the concept.
Yeah.
That was a test. Okay, so we only hit 19 out of that for some reason. Like, it only brought it up to almost 20.
So every time you fill these, it'll be 29 that you're aiming.
So we have two.
Four.
We have two different types of bottles.
Oh. Okay.
All of these that we have out here right now are the same bottles. But if the other bottle we have has a metal bottom,
Oh.
and it weighs a little more,
Okay.
so we can fill them all to our standard bottle, and we only have one of the metal bottom ones. But that is a really good point. Make sure your bottles are identical, and if not, then you have to measure the other bottle. Because if you start out with the metal bottom bottle, and then you're filling all of them to that spec, and they're not, then you're putting too much propane into them by maybe a couple ounces, which is, not insignificant. Oh, I'm not empty on this. Oh yeah, I guess Nicole's just giving me the reference, which makes sense. We filled one up. You'll have success with this. If you do it like this, if you choose to just go out into the woods somewhere, do not do it indoors, of course. And again, I'm just some guy in the woods at your own risk, but it does work. It is effective. So.